Hey guys, um, thought I'd just do a little video of showing you my workspace here for latch hooking stuff. So up there in the back, that's the hair that I have already hackled and done this is my hackle I made. And then I made this little board here, which is basically just two pieces of 2x6 and a screw put in there, and that's so I can hang the hair that I'm working on. And I've got my stand made out of PVC, and then I can sit in a chair and latch hook. And so that's basically a workspace. So now I gotta finish this section up right here. I work in this diagonal. What's up here? So I do a diagonal, and it seems to cover better, and I can kind of keep my place better as I'm latch hooking. So I'll just let you watch me for a little bit and get it done. You can see how fast it goes. So important thing here is get your workspace so you're comfortable. My back hurts. I tore it up in college, so I don't want to have to be stooping down. I'm trying not to look up like that. I'm trying to get the work kind of right at eye level, so I can see better. I also have progressive lenses, so if you see me like looking at you like this, it's because when I'm taking these videos, if I look normal, you're blurry to me, or I'm blurry to me. So I try to get everything situated so you're comfortable. I know there's some people who use cards for the hair. I tried using that, and I found it was harder for me to do that than I don't like grabbing the ends. I like grabbing the middle of the hair to put it over the latch hook. So here you go. Here's a little bit, and then I'm sure I'll speed it up at some point. So take a little bit of hair, put it over there, find my spot that I want to go for, and I'm not really concerned if the previous layer, I'm kind of looking down through here. Right about there is about right. There's not an exact science to this. It just kind of is but what I do try to follow is there is a thread. Here, you can see it better right here. So there is a line that goes up right through there, and I try to follow that line, and that's how I maintain the diagonal. I'm not terribly concerned about where the next piece goes in, but it does tend to follow a line as you do this. You're gonna pull it off the hang. Do a couple swipes. Moving on. And we just keep working. So there's one block. Come over here and start working on the other one. Next one over. As you get closer to where you're combining two edges, it does get a little hard not to get everything knotted up, and you'll find it gets knotted up from time to time. That's just the nature of this stuff. So we'll just keep on trucking here. And if it gets knotted up, big deal, pull it out. So there's a couple ways. I'm sure it's gonna knot on me at some point when I get to this other stuff. And it's because the hair gets kind of twisted and caught up on itself. Now, I'm right-handed, and probably I should be working with the hair on my left side, because I find that fewer movements. If I'm reaching for my left, if I have it here, I can grab it, put it on the hook and go. If I'm over here, I'm always reaching across my body. Again, setting up things so you're comfortable is going to be the key in you making good progress on your latching. If you're uncomfortable, your back will hurt, your neck will hurt, other things will hurt, or you'll just get frustrated. I tried using the crochet loop. I've got one, and I found it took 10 times longer than just building this stand and being able to hang the shirt where I needed it to be. And then when I get to the pants, I'll adjust and fix it so I can do the pants the same way. So that looks about good now. Now see, I'm getting to where these two edges meet, and so I'm going to kind of go in here and be a little bit more. See, they're going to get caught up. I'm going to get closer together here. So if you have comments or questions, put them below, and I'll be happy to answer them. I'm by no means the expert in making lookies. There are people who've done this much longer than I have, and probably are pointing out every one of my errors. But for me, it's the learning experience and making the suit. So I do this stuff for my son, and he passed away last March 19th of 2017. He's 9 years old and he passed away from cancer. And I do all this because the five-arm first came to his hospital room, and it made a world of difference in his life and his treatment. He darn near beat it. But Ewing sarcoma is a bastard, and it mutated, and that took his life. But he was a huge Star Wars fan, as am I. But that's why I do this. So there you go. Look at that. Now you may think, wow, that's really scattered, but when you look, by the time you get down to the bottom, you've got, I mean, this is a foot long. So by the time you get down to the bottom, you're not going to see any of this. Now when I get up here to the top, when I start working on the up here and I get to the gray, I'm starting to shoulder, I'm doing like every single one from about here, this about an inch from this, I'm doing just about every single, sorry, probably couldn't see that, every single thing when I get up to about an inch or two from the edge, from the top, because the shoulders are gonna hang, and right through here, the hair is gonna part, and I wanna make sure I don't see open suit. Same thing on the arms. I gotta redo one of the arms, or not redo it, but I gotta do a fill-in job on it, and I know how I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get 45s for my arms so they hang down, and that way it's easier to latch hook. The direction you want the hair to hang is something else I found. The latch hook this side's the one that doesn't show so well. It's very open, but when you're hanging it down, it looks better. The other arm, I latch hooked like this in this direction, and it looks great holding your arms and all that. When you put your arm down, it tends to want to separate right here. So I'm doing a seam on that one about 2 strands wide, 2 latch hooks wide, that I'm going to latch hook in this direction to cover that. That's the great thing about this. You can just keep covering and filling in. If you see something's a little too thin, by the time it gets all filled in, just go in, take some hair, separate, do a couple strands, and it'll pop right into place in no time. So there you go. Now I get to start on the next row. Probably one more row. I've got, I don't know how good the camera's gonna pick it up, but you see I've got about that much more to go before I start doing all gray. So that is probably, I may do it in one big section. We'll see. You wanna watch? We'll see. All right, here we go. I'll slide it over so I get a little bit better work area. And you see here, this is where the two sections meet. It's going to start out really difficult because I'm doing diagonal, so I got to wait and build my I'm going to be somewhere over here before I get up to the top. So these first ones, you don't see a lot of progress at first. Here we go. So I'm going to try and just keep going. So I find one, find a good line to follow, and then start adding it in. And again, I'm doing a lot closer together here by where one side meets the other side to make sure I don't have any lines, visible seams, anything showing that shouldn't show. And I'm also trying to start setting up my diagonal. So I don't care if I've got two latches side by side like I just did. That's not the point. The point is to start setting up the diagonals and getting them working. So you'll find starting off a diagonal, you're going to make some mistakes. It's going to be wobbly. Eventually, you'll just start popping into place and things will fall into place. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Chewies, I mean, these things look better the messier they get. So right now, this hair is kind of pristine, and I haven't thinned it or anything like that, so hasn't been a haircut on him yet. But my goal is to be done by the Han Solo movie. So I'm setting a light speed record for this. And the reason is Woody Harrelson's character's name in the Solo movie is Beckett, which was my son's name. And I want to be able to do Chewie for the premiere, for the opening, and then be able to start working on Beckett. And hopefully I can pull off Beckett, but we'll see. But there's just not enough Chewies around, and that's why I'm doing this one. Because every time we go troop with the 501st, you get a, Andy Wiseman brings his R2, and we have Princess Leia shows up, and sometimes we get some Rebel Legion, but there's just not a Chewie that comes out frequently enough. And going to VCU Children's Ward is important to me, and it's a hard troop for me. But then again, I get to see the nurses that took care of Beckett, and that helps a lot. So, and got to see his doctor the last time, which was the first time I actually been on the floor since he passed away. And I still can't bring myself to go into his room, which was ironically his last room was also his first room. And that was one of those moments when that happens and you're just like, this is not going to go well. Just had a bad feeling. And that was Tuesday and he passed away Sunday. So 5 days later he passed away. And he was a strong kid. If anybody out there's watching this and their kids have cancer, I'm sorry. And I hate that we're part of the shittiest club that you never wanted to join. And I'm sorry for my language, but it is. Bleep it out if you want, but it is. And it's hard for those who haven't gone through this to understand what we go through as parents. But in a way, we're brothers and sisters. And I know what you're going through. I do. And I hope yours, if you're in the middle of it now, I hope and I pray that it goes well. And it's just not fair. And no kid should have to go through this. And no parent should have to either, but it's not about us, you know that. It's about them. So you can see I'm making pretty good progress here. I am I guess it's a little hard to see. I could turn this around a little bit. You can see how working the diagonal really makes a big difference in your speed, because your upper hair doesn't get caught up in the lower hair, or your lower hair doesn't get caught up in the upper hair. You're always working the direction it hangs. I've seen people, and I've seen their suits, and they start up here at the top and start working their way down. So their hair's always getting in the way. Doing it like this, like I'm doing, the hair doesn't get in the way. And I used to work little tiny strips across here and just go like this, but I spent so much time trying to figure out where to put the next one that I started doing these diagonals, and I discovered that it was by far faster. And I'm just not talking about a little bit. This, you know, I won't say it tripled or quadrupled my productivity in latching. And also having the shirt or the suit hanging on a rack like this makes all the difference in the world, because I don't get knots, I don't get tangles as often. When I tried the crochet hook thing, it was just, you see, I'm working up, which means the latch naturally falls down, and then when I loop it around, it's open, and I just hold the hair up and I pull through, and everything's in the right location. When you're going down like this, look at that, your latch is already closing, and you need to get the fibers, the hair in there. So if you're working this way, that's the way to latch. Don't latch in your lap, looking down and trying to, it'll take you forever. Latch on a stand and latch vertically, and you're gonna be so much better off. So much better off. So. I'm gonna be working on this for a little bit, I think. I try to work until either my back hurts, my whatever, my feet hurting, something like that, or I run out of a pack of hair, and that's a good stopping point. And I usually I take the hair and I make half bundles of it. So I'll take the hair, separate it out, and then blend it, and I'll hang it up separately, and then I'll work from one half, you know, because I've already cut it in half. It comes in 48-inch lengths, so I've already cut it in half, and now I'm just kind of, it's easier to manage in these half bundles. And it looks like I'm going to be, this is probably going to take another bundle and a half of blonde before I get to the end of this. Just watching it, you kind of get a feel for how far your hair goes. And I may be putting it on too thick, but I kind of feel like this feels comfortable to me. When I do a lot fewer hairs, I try not to go too thick. I mean, I've got, yeah, that's about how many I grab. And if I go thinner than that, it feels like I'm not really getting coverage that I want. And if I go thicker than that, it feels like I'm just, I don't know, it's just, it doesn't seem to want to knot very well. It always wants to kind of loosen up, and that's something else I'm gonna have to work through is locking these things in there. I mean, I don't want to, I'm not gonna glue it or anything like that, and this will stay, but it really is just a slip knot. And so it's they can loosen up, and I guess you soak it in hot water, and maybe, I don't know, it'll straighten it up for sure. Get some of that, this little frizz out. But it's hard when you're straightening the hair. It's hard to do it at the very end to get the tips straight. I mean, the blow dryer is fast as can be, and I don't use low. I put it on high. I just keep it moving. I don't keep it still. I keep the blow dryer moving, and you can watch the hair straighten up if you get the light right. And that's another thing. Just, it wouldn't look like I've got good light. And honestly, I could stand to do a little bit better job of the lighting on here. But I mean, I've worn a headlight when I was working the bottom down here of this. I had it up on the high rack so I could stand up and see it better. And when you're standing up, I use the rack on the wall for the hair. When I'm sitting down, I use this. I made this tonight, and I like it. The thing about it is this nail. Well, I used a screw this time. See, that helps me peel the hair off. You can see how much I've already done in just this. We've been 22 minutes so far on this video, and it really is just an easy process. There's nothing really. It's labor intensive, but if I sit there and work on it an hour or so, you see how much I cover in 20 minutes. It's gonna be no problem. So I have to do a life cast. I need to get started on the mask. I'm just waiting on, I've been working on a project at work. It's kind of consuming all my thoughts right now. So but I need to get started on that. I need to get my buddies over here and make a life cast of my face so I can start working on the mask. It's just getting that time. Oh, okay, there's an example. I pulled too much hair off, and I caught it before I wasted it. And don't worry, you're gonna waste hair. I could make a cousin it out of all the hair that I've wasted. It falls on the ground. It's just the way it is. So don't get caught up in it. If it's not gonna hang straight on your latch hook, let it go. It ain't worth it. It's cheap. It's cheaper to buy hair than it is to sit in my mind, to something for a braid of this versus me fiddling with it and taking 10 times longer to get through the suit. That $2 is cheap. So I just pay for just order more hair when I need it. Something that I've done on the arms, I need to do it on the body. I need to go back in, fill in, is add a little gray here or there, just a spot. So just to break it up a little visually, it's really, I want it to look a little more, I don't want to say animal, but yeah, you know, especially when you have these zones where the two colors meet, you don't want it to be like, you want it to be kind of like cut in. So I may come right here and just stop and then start working up and cut a, let's see if I can show you. So here, if you can see through, you see that's about where the blonde is. I may cut a little V in here and fill in that with gray so it starts hanging down here a little bit before we get, you'll see it kind of at the bottom. It'll have a little bit of V, have a little bit of gray right here. And I might do that, you know, as long as he has a solid gray back up here, you know, that's the standard. But part of me, it's also thinking, you know, to make it your own, does it help to, if something happens to it, somebody rips it off or whatever, to be able to have a design pattern in there that makes it identifiable from every other Chewbacca suit? So if it's recovered, you can prove it's yours. I think so, and I'm going to make sure that exists in this suit. So there will be a way that I can identify my suit from anyone else's. And I won't say what that is, but this suit means a lot to me, and I don't want anything to happen to it, and so I'm gonna make sure that if something does, I can recover it, or if it is recovered, I can find it. At least put the word out, so if somebody tries to sell it online, anybody who's in the Legion wants to buy it or thinks they're buying something, they can check it and help me get it back. It sucks that people would do that, you know, but they do. So you see I'm leaving a little gap now, so there'll be a little bit of gray that hangs down a couple inches right there on that right shoulder, just a little bit more than on the other side. So find a good place to start. There we go. We're just moving right along. So we're coming up on half an hour and it's just trucking. All right. So probably should stop here in a second. So I can say thanks to you guys for watching. Keep up with me on the blog, on Facebook, and hopefully this will help you if you want to build a Chewie or any kind of how to build a Chewie, go in the rug business. Yeah, I pretty much think I can start selling rugs now. Fully qualified. But yep, so there you go. That's latch hooking, and that's building a Wookiee. That's what you do. You sit down, you do this hour after hour after hour after hour, and time passes. Put on some good music. Put on something relaxing. Don't put on any death metal when you're doing this, because you're going to get so amped up. You need like relaxing stuff, something calm, and You put on this, you put on something that's going to jam you up, and next thing you know, you're going to be frustrated because this gets kind of zen. It's like TIG welding. TIG welding is really zen for me. You just sit out there and you make these beautiful beads, and it's just relaxing. And then you burn your hands, but it's relaxing doing it. And so that's what I'm doing. So anyway, there you go. Peace.